You are listening to me talking to myself. Welcome to the podcast where I share useful tools to create more space, more freedom, inner peace, connection, and life on purpose. With our family, friends, but really with everything in our life, we have a relationship. With food, things, with our home, our yoga practice. Those relationships mirror back what we need to see in ourselves. So it is very interesting to explore how we show up for those relationships and what we make them mean. We can show up in any relationship in two different ways: proactive and reactive. Reactive is how we act in relationships to other people's actions. So if we are reactive in relationships, we are waiting for the other person to do something, so then we can react. Instead of making a decision and being proactive, meaning taking action first. So, for example, if we are being reactive or what we could call passive in a relationship, we may be waiting for someone else to make all the plans in the relationship, to ask us to go to a museum, to go for a walk, to do something together, to ask us to show up in a certain way. And some people might say, I didn't do that because she didn't ask me to. Or I didn't even think about doing that. Or I didn't even know that she would like that. And that's because if you are saying that, that's because you are in a very passive stance in your relationship. If you don't even think about what the other person would like. You're waiting for someone else in the relationship to tell you what they want or tell you what to do. Take a moment and think about what kind of relationship you will have if you are not getting actively involved. It's very energy draining for the other person, and you definitely will not have the relationship that you want because you don't even know what you want and you're not actively creating it. So to have a relationship or friendship that you want, you need to be proactive, not only for what the other person wants, but also for what you want. So ask yourself, what are your expectations of you? Not what are your expectations of the other person in the relationship, but what are your expectations of yourself in the relationship? How do you want to be? How do you want to show up? How do you want to be as a friend, as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend, as a business partner? What kind of friend do you want to be? And what are you expecting of yourself in that relationship? Sometimes people want to be friends with someone, but they are not able to care for that friendship. It is very important to set expectations for yourself rather than having someone else set them for you. It's really important to ask yourself, what do I want to give instead of what do I want to take from that relationship? So we can show up for not just the other person, but also for ourselves as the highest version we can be of ourselves. So when I'm in any kind of relationship, I always expect myself to be present, to be engaged, to be interested, to be reliable, to be honest and trustworthy, to be communicative, thoughtful, to tell the truth, to show up with energy, to not complain, to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations, to remember important events in their lives, to make plans and create opportunities to play, explore, grow, and have fun. So those are some of my expectations of myself. Another question to ask yourself is, what do you want to do for this other person? And also, am I actually taking action to create those things? Do I actually plan in those things and actually do them? Instead of saying, oh, I would like to go to an exhibition with her, but actually never putting an effort to plan that in properly. Another thing that is very useful is to sit down and have a conversation with this person and ask them, what are the things that you would love to do with me? What are the things that you would love for me to do for you? What are the things that we would like to do together and what are the things that we would not like to do together? This is called a want match. If your wants are matching. And instead of guessing and getting upset that the person does not like the things you offer and gift them, it's very useful to communicate. And also, being in that space with someone to think about your friendship and your relationship And investing time and showing interest in improving and working and deepening your connection is a very intimate thing to do, a very proactive thing to do. Another important question is, what are your expectations of them? And it should be more than nothing. It should be more than nothing. You're exchanging your time and your energy. So it's okay to have expectations of people. And again, it is very useful to have a conversation where you tell the person what your expectations are, and vice versa. So you both are clear and you don't try to guess. Most of the time, we don't tell people what our expectations are, and then we are very frustrated when they don't meet them. It's just easier to discuss ahead of time. But also, do not determine your emotional life based on whether they follow through on your expectations or not. You can mention and discuss them, but it does not mean they will implement them. And we can't control other people. One of my expectations that I have with all my friends is I want you to tell me the truth about what you genuinely want. I want to be in a relationship with someone who does what they want to do. I don't want someone to be in a relationship with me who is doing things they don't want to do all the time for me at their own expense, just to people please me, and then being resentful about it. Having a conversation, setting expectations, explaining why, and also knowing that if they do it or not, your happiness does not depend on them. They don't need to do all the things for us to be happy, as we are responsible for our own happiness. The biggest issue is usually a lack of communication on expectations and then frustration when someone isn't meeting our expectations that they didn't even know that we had. And one of the things that is really important in many relationships is setting expectations around communication. How would I like to communicate? Talking in person, using text messages, using voice messages, talking on the phone, etc. For me, my phone is usually always on silent, so I usually never take calls, unless the call has been scheduled before. I do like sending voice messages because they can showcase emotions much better than text. I also do like receiving voice messages if they are good quality and actually the other person is present while recording them and has put some thought before recording them and not walking around somewhere on the street with all possible noises and forgetting about what they were talking about halfway through. Also communicating important dates and times and details via text, so if I need to go back and find that information, I don't need to listen to all those voice notes over again. If I am with someone, it is very important for me that we both are present and are not looking at our phones and notifications. I also might not reply straight away because I'm present with someone or something else. I might read it, but not respond instantly. And if you want to talk to me on the phone, make sure you text me first so we can figure out a time that works for us. Because I probably won't be answering the phone. Just having really clear expectations. Otherwise, we can make up a lot of crazy stories about us and about the other person. And if we go through this process with our relationships, we can be in much more control over ourselves and how we want to show up. Most of us want to be the best partners we can be the best friends we can be. And one of the easiest, most simple ways of doing that is being proactive, thinking ahead, setting expectations, setting boundaries, and asking for expectations too. And sometimes we try to find that one friend or that one person who we can do everything together with. One concept that's very helpful is learning how to create a relationship circle that meets all of our relationship needs. We too often want to find that one person who can take care of everything. We look for that one person in our best friend or in our partner. And we get upset and frustrated if that one person does not meet all of our expectations. For example, I have many desires when it comes to relationships. I personally want to have the following: intellectual conversations and discussions, visionary conversations about what is possible and what we want to create, challenging conversations about growth and development, uncomfortable projects and ideas, physical connection, a traveling companion, someone to have fun with and not be too serious, someone who cares about important things and events in my life, someone who encourages me, someone I can mentor and coach, student relationships, client relationships, business partners, a coach, a mentor, a training coach, creative relationships. Trying to find this in one person or expecting one person to do all of those things is a little bit unrealistic. A relationship circle is a way to solve for all of these desires and needs. Finding people who want what I want, where my needs match their desires. So instead of expecting one person to do all the things, it is my responsibility to create a relationship circle. So we also have people around us who only do what they actually want to do, instead of expecting our friends and our partners to do things they don't want to do, or are not even capable of doing. By creating a list of what you want in your circle and who you currently have in your life, you will be able to create a match list. You will see where in your life you can deepen your current connections, ask people for what you want, and see if you have a match, and then you can find new connections for anything missing. Wherever you are in your life, I want to invite you to make a list of what is it you want in terms of people, connections, and relationships. And see how many that you already have, and really be thankful and appreciative of that. And then see if there is anything that you don't yet have that you consciously want to create in terms of your circle of friends. I want a friend I could have inspiring conversations with. I want a friend that tells the truth even if it's uncomfortable. I want a friend that challenges me to think bigger. I want a friend that is reliable and present. I want a friend I can be quiet with. I want a friend I could have deep discussions with. I want a friend I could travel and explore the world with. I want a friend I could create projects with. I want a friend I can go to museums with. I want a friend I can explore physical connection with. So, what is it for you? What is it that you want in your life? And as we grow and change, our needs and desires for people around us will also change, which is a natural process of life. So, how do we know when to let go of friendships? Some relationships complete themselves. It's not that a relationship is over, we don't need to delete people from our life, but some relationships have a season and some relationships complete themselves. Sometimes when we have outgrown a relationship, it can be challenging because we don't want to leave that person behind, we don't want to reject them. Sometimes it is necessary to create space for something new, and sometimes the relationship can just change its form. How do we know when we have outgrown a relationship? That's a good question to ask yourself. And you know when you know. You will know when you have a relationship with someone and you can feel it changing because you are changing, because you are moving in a different direction. The chemistry and the connection and interest that you had is no longer there. As we change, our values change too. And this is a beautiful thing. It means we are growing and evolving, and change is an inevitable part of life. I will be hosting multiple yoga retreats this year, in and outside of Europe. Please go to my website, eleonoragendelman.com/retreats for details, dates, and how to sign up. I would love to see you there. Thank you for being curious. If you enjoyed listening, rate, review, subscribe, share, and join the conversation. Do not miss out on yourself, your power, and what is possible for you.